Hello and welcome to our program. Today we're going to be looking at HTML and CSS. And to get started immediately, I'm going to share my screen. To build your website, HTML and CSS are the two major basic languages that you can use for that. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheet. I'm going to start immediately. The first thing that you're required to do in order to follow up the way we are moving is to create a folder on your desktop. Call that folder HTML and CSS. You can see the way I called my own, HTML and CSS, all written in small letter. So immediately after creating this folder and calling it HTML and CSS, then I opened it up in my VS Code. So you're expected to have VS Code. So I opened it up by clicking on File, then selecting Open Folder, then going to my desktop, and I'm able to open it. That's why I have it here. So the next thing to do is to create your HTML file. And to create your HTML file, simply hover over the folder that you have. You'll see this place they wrote New File. Click on that new file. The name of this file is going to be index.html. So that is the name of the new file, and that is our HTML file. So we're quickly going to code it up. So as I'm coding, please pay attention. Every HTML file is going to have the HTML tag starting and ending it. Then after the HTML tag, the next thing is going to be the header tag. So it's going to have the head tag, opening and closing. So how you know opening and closing is that for the closing, there has to be a slash. So after the header tag, then inside the header is supposed to have the title. So I'm going to give it the title, Augustine's Web. That's the title. Title. So the title of my work is going to be Augustine's Web. So just after the header, you're supposed to have the body tag. So inside the body is where you're going to have the content of your website. In my case, I'm going to have this is my first website. Okay, so this is a very basic HTML page written. So I'm going to run this so that you see how this looks like on your browser. So I'm going to simply do Ctrl S to save this. Then I'm going to right click and say open on live server. So I already opened my live server before. That's why it's writing stop live server. So you can also see open with live server. So I'm going to click on open with live server so that I'll see this web page. Okay, you can see my web page. This is my first website, and you can see Augustine's Web because it's writing Augustine's Web here because what I have in my title is Augustine's Web. And it's writing this is my first website because what I have under my body is this is my first website. So how does this work? The HTML, the Chrome is able to recognize that the title is Augustine's Web. And anything you put in the title, that's what comes out here, Augustine's Web. Then the Chrome, which is your browser, is also able to recognize that anything you put under the body tag is what is going to come out here. And that's why we are having this. So quickly, as a programmer, you're going to be able to code out on your Notepad or your Visual Studio Code, and your clients are going to see what you've done on the browser. And in this our case, we are using Google Chrome. You can also use Internet Explorer as your browser. So let's keep going. So I'm going to simply say inside this body tag, I'm going to say BG color because I want to give it a color and say equal to red. Then I'm going to do Ctrl S to save. Then once I get back here, you can see that the background color is now red and it's on auto refresh. So if you're using live server, it's on auto refresh. So what actually happened is that as a programmer, any code that you write here reflects here. So let me change this BG color from red to yellow. So I'm going to type yellow, then I'm going to do Control S. Once you do Control S, it automatically affects this place. So you can see that the background now is now yellow. So what happens is that as you work on the notepad or your editor, in our case VS Code, your client is able to see the work on the, what's it called, on the Google Chrome. So we're going to continue to implement more codes here, and we're going to see the outputs here. So to do that, I'm going to continue. I'm going to simply say break. When you say break, BR, break simply means that you want to get to the next line. So I'm going to simply say break. So when I say break, I'm going to say, this is my first HTML class. Okay. Then here I'm going to replace this. This is my first website to Augustine's Travel Agency. Okay. Then I'm going to do Control S to save. So if I now get back here, so make sure that you put the anchor bracket before you do Control S to save. If I come back here, I can see Augustine's Travel Agency, and I can see this is my first HTML class. So any changes that you make here, you see them here. And the good thing about using our live server is that as you're making your changes, automatically you're seeing it here. So basically, we have the HTML opening tag and the closing tag telling us that this is HTML document. Then inside the HTML, so just like you have your head down to your toe, that's how you have your HTML and HTML. So the closing tag is identified by the / that goes into it. Then when you come into your body, there are two major divisions of your body. You have your head, then you have the rest of your body. So in that same way, you have the head tag, then you have the rest of the body. So inside the body, you have the most important organ in the body, which is the eye, and that represents the title here. Whereas the rest of the things you have in your body is inside the rest of the body. So the title, anything you have in your title is what comes up here, but anything you put inside the body is what comes inside here. So we're going to develop this code by writing more codes here, then we'll expect it to come out here. Are we clear on that? Is that very clear? Is that very clear? Okay. So to develop this more, I'm going to simply say, I'm going to put another break. Then I'm going to remove this break and put a center tag. And to put a center tag, you simply put this and say center. Take what is here and put it inside here. Okay, so I'm going to do Control S to save this. So once I save this, I get back here, I'll see that my Augustine's Travel is now at the center, whereas the rest are here. So this is simply what happened. I'm using a tag known as center tag. So any tag that you impute is what will dictate how your HTML looks like. So what is HTML? HTML simply stands for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML is what shows your content, the structure of your content in your web page. Whereas CSS, as we are going to see, is what customizes your website and makes it to look beautiful. So I'm going to allow you guys to do what I've just done. Then in subsequent class, we're going to connect a CSS to this very page and get it done the way it should be done. So please, everybody, do this quickly. Then we can continue. We'll connect it to CSS and let it be done the way it should be. So all the codes that we're using for our lectures are on our website. You can just get to our website, www.tclassified.com. Once you get to the website, click on blog. Once the blog opens, you're going to see the link to this class. Today's class is HTML Extended. So once you click on HTML Extended, you should be able to see the codes we are writing. So this is a simple code that we're going to be writing today. So you can follow up as we do this. At the end of each class, you're going to write a quiz. So this is a very serious training. So I've already shared the quizzes to everybody. At the end of each class, you're expected to write a quiz. So make sure you're taking notes. See you when I see you. Remember, everything you want is in Christ Jesus. The easiest way to success is by being a born again. See you when I see you.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, the new student, did you people catch what we did? Is it clear? Madam, is it clear? Okay. Who else? Okay. So can we continue? Please, can you guys see me on the screen? Okay, welcome back. Let's continue. So I'm going to quickly share my screen so that we can continue. Okay, so we looked at building out a simple HTML page, which will explain what it does. So we're going to connect a CSS to this our HTML and try to see how we can use CSS to make HTML page to look better. We said that HTML shows the structure of the web page, whereas CSS customizes the appearance and makes it look better. Is that clear? So let's connect a CSS. Now quickly hover over this your folder HTML and CSS, and you are going to see new folder. That's what we're going to be using, new folder. So click on new folder and name this new folder CSS, because this is going to be the folder that will contain your CSS file. It's always good you do what we call division of concern whenever you're designing your web pages, especially when you're using HTML and CSS. You understand? Make sure you create a folder, call it CSS. Then all your cascading style sheet files will be stored inside that folder. Then if you're going to be having images, create another folder, call it images. You understand? Then make sure that all your image files are saved inside there. So I'm going to also quickly click on new folder, and I'm going to name it images. So I now have two extra folders. Oh, sorry, you see, this is a mistake. Make sure you don't make this mistake. So I'm going to click on these images and I'm going to say delete, because this images is created inside CSS. In order not to make this mistake, make sure you click on the HTML CSS. I hope nobody is tampering with my okay. So please, I'm gonna come up again. Okay, so while my VS Code boots up, I don't know what made it to shut down. We're always gonna be writing exercises after each practice. So make sure you're following up. Make sure you have all your installations done. If you check through our videos, you're gonna see how you can install VS Code and make other installations. Okay. So this is the HTML that I have. I'm gonna click on this folder. This is the folder we're working on. So we just created this CSS folder. So I'm gonna click on new folder so that I can create the images folder. So all my images are gonna be on images, then all my CSS are gonna be on CSS. Okay. So in order to connect this, I'm gonna create some things more, some content. So I'm gonna just come below this and I'm gonna say H1. I'm gonna use the H1 tag, and I'm gonna say home page. So once I do that, I can do Control S to save this. Then when I get to my browser, I should be able to see my website. So let me refresh. Okay, this is no longer connected. I get back. I'll right click and say open with live server. Okay, so you can see my home page is very bold because I enclose it in H1 tag. Now if I get here back here, and instead of putting H1, I put H3 instead of H1. So H1 is the biggest. So I'm gonna say Control S to save. You can see my home page is now smaller. So you can have this header tag from H1 to H6. So if you check the assignment, the text quiz that I gave you, you will see where they wrote whether we can have H8. Please, you cannot have H8. You can only have from H1 to H6. So let me put this as H2 because I want it to be a little bit bigger than what it is now. So once I'm done, I'm gonna do Control S. So you can see this home page. Why is it big and bold? Because I put it inside the header tag H2. Are we clear on that? So I'm going to create another content and I'm going to call it the paragraph tag or call it the P tag. So P tag, you can simply write something and I'll say, this is the home page for Austin's travel agency for tour and hotel booking. So I'm going to say Control S to save. Then when I get back, you can see this, the line in my paragraph tag. This is the home page for Austin's travel agency for tour and hotel booking. You can also see this is my first HTML, which is the first one I wrote down here. So what break does is that it gets it to the next line. So I'm going to quickly come to this next line and insert an image. So how do you insert an image? You simply say image. Then you say src, image with the source. So the source of this image, I'm going to call it pic1.html, .jpeg, sorry, jpg. So that is the source of my image, pic1.jpg. But do I have this image pic1? So I'm going to go fetch an image and put it in the same folder as I have here. And I'm going to make sure that I put it under this images folder. So I'm going to go to my computer and look for where I have images. So I'm going to go to pictures, then under pictures, so go and fetch an image from your system. So I think I have some images under my documents, then desktop folders. Then I'm going to go down to Studio Pic. So this is where I have some images. So I'm going to pick this image by right-clicking on it. You can actually drag and drop this image here, but I want to right-click and copy this image. So when I copy it, I'm going to go to the desktop, which is where I have my folder. So this is my desktop. Then I go to HTML and CSS. Then inside HTML and CSS, I'm going to go into images. Can you see images here? Then I'll paste that folder, I'll paste that image there. Then I'll make sure that I rename it with the name that I gave it on my editor. And the name is what? Pic1. So make sure it is named as Pic1. So I must also make sure that it's a JPG file. So this is Pic1. So it's now under the images folder. So if I come to this, my images, and click now, I should be able to see this Pic1 here. So in order to refer to it, well, I'm supposed to write images / Pic1. So I will now save by doing Control S. So once I save, I should be able to see that picture. You can see the image is here now, but it's very big. So I'm going to resize it so that it will be what I want it to be. And in order to resize, I get back to my code. Apart from the attribute of src, there's another attribute known as width and height. So I'm going to give it The image width is gonna be, I'm gonna give it 200, and I'm gonna give the image height as 200. Then I'm gonna do Ctrl S to save. Then when I get back now, you can see that this image is small and cute. So that is how you bring in an image in your HTML by simply using image src equal to, then you give the reference where you have the image. So if I didn't put this image in this folder images, I would have not put this here, but I'm putting this because I already created an image folder and referred to that. Okay. Now we're gonna do another thing. So this is what we are having now, and this is what we have as our what? Index.html. So we're gonna learn how we can link up multiple pages together, which is typically what you see in a website. So to link up multiple pages together, I'm going to copy what I have here in my index.html by selecting all and saying copy. So I'm going to go to create a new file. So make sure that you're on the same place that you have your index.html. Click on new. So once you click on new, I'm going to create another file known as contact us.html. Then I press the enter key. So you can see it's a new file. What I already copied, I'm going to do Ctrl V to paste it. So instead of home page, I'm going to simply change this home page to what? Contact us page. So that is the page. And I'm going to change the color. The home page is having yellow. So I'm going to change this color to gray. Then I'm going to save this. So how do I link up this page to the first one? That's what we're going to learn. So quickly get to your index.html. Then just below where you have your Austin's travel, we are going to write the link page. And what is the link page? We simply put this and say href. We say a href equal to, we put the link. We want to link, first of all, we'll make the link for this index page. So we're going to call it index.html, just the same name that it has. So that's the first. So we're going to call this in capital letter home. So this same link page, I'm going to copy it and paste it just below the first one. But instead of index.html, I'm going to call it contact us.html, just the way we have contact us here. Then in place of home, I'm going to say what? Contact us. So I'm going to save this, and I make sure that I copy it exactly the way it is here and put on the contact us page so that I can refer to the two pages. So I'm going to copy this, get to our contact us page, just under this, the same way I put the other one. I'm going to paste it there, and I'm going to save. So once you now get back to your website, you're going to see we have home and we have contact us, but there's a mistake here. So I'm quickly going to check it out and find out what my mistake was. Okay, here I needed to put the anchor brackets. Okay, so I'll save, get to my index and do the same. Make sure you put the anchor bracket here. Then you do what? Save. Then when you get back to your website, you can see that it's now having link. So when you click on contact us, it takes us to the one that has a gray background. When you click on home, it takes us the one that has a yellow background. So that's how you can make links connecting different web pages in your website. Your website is supposed to have different web pages. So this is web page 1, index.html. This is web page 2, contact us.html. Okay. So we are going to create another page, and we're going to call this page services, where we can show our services. So to do that, I'm going to simply also what? Copy this very one. Then once I copy it, I go to HTML and CSS. You can see where I am. Click on new file. So I'm going to call this file services.html. HTML. Then I press the enter key. It will open up here. I'm gonna paste it here. So in place of home page, I'm gonna now change this to what? Services. So that's the name of the page now. Okay. And for us to do that, we are changing to another page. I'm gonna change the background color to blue. Okay, so I'm gonna now save. So to link it up, I'm gonna create another link here. You can see that I have two links. I'm gonna copy this link, come down here, paste it. Then in place of contactors.html, I'm gonna save it with exactly the name that I have for it, which is what? Services.html. And in place of this capital letter contactors, which is gonna what's gonna appear, I'm gonna write in capital letter services. Okay, then I'm gonna Control S to save, and copy this very line of link and make sure that I put it on the other pages, which are the contact us page. Then I do Control S to save, make sure you save, and the what? Index page. Then I do Control S to save. So when I come back here now, I can see I'm now having 3 tabs. So if I click on this one, I'm gonna have a blue background. This one is gonna give me gray background, and this one is gonna give me yellow background. So I now have 3 pages which I can now change to get me to where I want to be in. Okay. So under our services page, we are going to introduce another form of element, HTML element, and that element, we'll call it the list element. So to write the list element, you're going to use the anchor bracket and say UL for unordered list. Make sure it's in small letter UL. Okay, and it's going to have what we call list elements. So what is going to be the list elements? So what services do we offer in Tclassified? We offer software development, because we can develop software for you. Okay, let's continue with our travel agency. Let's not divert. So we can be offering Uber services. If our customers want to be on Uber, we should be able to offer Uber services. Then we should also be able to, apart from Uber services, we should be able to render what we call hotel booking. Can book hotels. Then we can also render another form of service. What other services? Tour. If you want to tour South Africa, we can help you tour South Africa. So I can do Control S to save, so that when I now go to my services page, I can see this list. Can you see this list? So you're able to see this list with ... because it is what we call unordered list. If you make it ordered list by changing that U to O, then you come here, change the U to O, then you have what we call ordered list. So I'm going to say Control S to save. Then when I get back, you can see ordered lists have things like 1, 2, 3, but unordered list has dot or any sign. Okay, so we've been able to learn how many tags now: the link tag, the image tag, and the list tag, both the ordered and unordered list. So I'm going to sign off again and let all of you be on the same page before we can continue. Remember, everything you want is in Christ Jesus. Easiest way to success is by being born again. So I'll connect back. Please make sure that you're on the same page with us. So in the next class that I'm joining, I will start developing this cascading style sheet that will connect to this and make it look more beautiful. Okay, so let's continue. Are we together? So now we're going to create our first cascading style sheet, the CSS, which will do what? Customize the web page to make it look prettier. We want our page to look fine. You understand? If you want to bring in the structure or the content of the website, use HTML. But when you want to customize to make your website look finer, look prettier, look beautiful, you use CSS. And to do that, I'm going to click on this CSS folder. Can you see the CSS folder? Make sure you click there first before you now go to new file, so that the new file you create will not be inside that folder. If you don't do it, it will not be there and the linking will not work properly. So once you click there, click on new file. So I'm going to name this new file style.css. The name is style. Can you see the spelling of my style? .css. Then once I press the enter key, it's going to open up a new tab for me. So how do you write a CSS code? How do you write a CSS code? Now, if you look at your HTML, then you're going to know you're going to locate the element that you want to style. You understand? Now, the element I want to style is my H2. Can you see my H2? I want to style it. And that's why I'm going to pick it out and style it here. So to style my H2, I simply say H2. That is how you style your H2. Then you're going to put the curly bracket. That's what you use for CSS. Curly bracket. Curly what? Curly bracket. So I'm going to style my H2. So what do I want to be in my H2? I want my H2 to have the color. I want the color of the text in my H2 to be what? To be blue, black, or red, depending on what I want. So let me go with blue for now. So I want the color of every text in my H2 to be blue. Make sure you put comma. So what happens here is that this is the name of the element you want to style. This is the attribute that you want to style, and this is the value you want to give to that attribute. So apart from the element, apart from it being blue, I also want the background color to be yellow. So to get that, I simply say background dash color. As you're writing it, you can be seeing it here, background color. So what color do I want? I want the background color to be yellow. So what else do I want about my H1 element? I also want the font family. I want to give it the font style of. So if you want to do font family, as you're typing, you are going to be seeing what you need. The font family that I want is what we call sans serif. So you can also put your Times New Roman. You can see different fonts that are here. So you can pick any one you want. So I've styled my H1. So I'm going to do Control S. So that's how you style your H2 actually. So when I get back to my HTML, how will this HTML know that I've done this style somewhere and be able to affect it for my H2 element? How will it do that? I'm going to link up this CSS that I did here. So how do you link up a CSS? You simply use the tag known as link rel. The tag known as what? Link rel. So I'm going to say link space rel. That's how you link it up. So once you say link rel, you're going to tell it what kind of document are you looking at. So that document is what we call style sheet. So in double quotes or single quotes, anyone can work. So I'm going to tell it that I'm linking this to a style sheet. So that's how you tell it that. So after telling it what you're linking it to, you now have to reference it by doing href. So which CSS file are you referencing, class? Which CSS file are we referencing? We're actually referencing we are referencing a CSS file known as style.css. But this style.css is inside our CSS folder. So when you get to the CSS folder, look for what? Style.what? CSS. So make sure you put that. If you did not put your CSS file inside the folder, there will be no need for this CSS here. We would have just said href equal to style.css. But because we put it in a folder, which I explained when I told you about, you have to separate your concerns. So that if you're looking for CSS, simply get to the CSS folder and look for it. Now you're going to tell it the type of document is it, and the type is what we'll call, you can call it text or CSS. So say text/CSS. So that's how you link up a CSS folder. So if I now, a CSS file, if I save this now, and get back to my website again. So I'm going to be able to see the effects of this. So if I refresh, you can see that I linked this to only the index page, which is on the home. So I click on this home. You can see now that my home page is now in what? Blue. It's now in blue. So if I get back here, get back to my style.css, change this color from blue to, and the background is yellow, and the yellow is also background here, so I cannot notice it. So what do? I change this, let me change this background to, let me change it to white. Let me change it to white. Then I do Ctrl S to save. So if you get back now, you can see that the background now is white, and the color of the font is what? Blue, and the font style is what? Sans serif. So any changes I'm making here, I'm going to be seeing it here. And that is the proper way to do your styling. So let me change this white again. What should I change it to? Let me change it to red. Then I do Ctrl S to save. So you can see now it's having background color of red, and the inner color is what? Blue for the font, and the font style is what? Sans serif. So this file index is able to see this because I reference it here using link_rel equal to style sheet href css/style sheet, which is the folder inside which we have this file, and the type is what we call text/css. So I'm going to copy this very link. Make sure you close it. I did not close it. I'm going to copy this link the way it is here. Then go to the other pages and paste them there as well. So if I get to my, so make sure that this is your link. I'm going to cut it first. Make sure that you put it inside the header tag. It has to be inside the header tag. It was a mistake not to be there. So your link rel should be inside the header tag. So I'm going to save this. Then get to my services. And I come down here. I'm going to also put the same so that that style sheet can be used for this page as well. Then I'm going to go to the contact us and also put it here. Then I'm going to do Ctrl S so that when you now come here, if you go to the next page also, you'll be having similar something. You can see contact us is also having blue color with red background. Services is also having the same thing. So that's how you link up your CSS to your HTML using this link. And this is how you create your HTML, your CSS. Any tag that you want to work on, list out the tag and work on it. So let's pick another tag now and work on. Let's take the paragraph tag, the P tag. So to customize the P tag, we simply write P, then we'll put our what? Curly braces. Now, what do we want in our P tag? What do we want in our P tag? Let's give our P tag a background color by saying what? Background color. So what background color are we going to give our P tag? Let's give all of them a white. So I'm going to say what? Ctrl S to save. So when I now come here, you can see that our P tag is now having white background. So if you go to the next one, the same thing, all the P tags are now having what? White background. So that is how it works. So where do we see our P tag here? You can see this is our P tag. So we can develop this our P tag more. I can go down here and say, we are into travels and tours. Okay, so I'm gonna also put a break tag here. BR. Okay, then I'm gonna save. So when I get to home page, okay, where did I do it? I did it on the index.html. Okay, so make sure you close your P tag if you want all of them to be seen here. I'm gonna remove this and rather close it here. So I have my P tag here. So this is where I'm closing my P tag. so that it will affect every write-up here. So I'm going to do Ctrl S to save. So if you now come here, you can see that everything here is on white background. So P tag is what you use in putting up your paragraphs, okay? If I get here, the same thing, get here, the same thing. So I'm going to give us the first assignment. Change these pictures. Let them be different pictures, okay? So let me quickly do that. If I get to my computer, then I get to where I have my images. So let me go to desktop folder. Then I go to Studio Pics. This is where I have my pictures. So I'm going to pick up these two pictures. So when I copy them, I'm going to go to my desktop, get to the folder I'm working on, which is HTML and CSS. Then I'm going to go to the images folder, then put these other pictures. But I want to refer them accurately, so I'm going to rename this one as pic 2. Why I refer to this one as rename pic 3. So this one is what? Pic 2. Okay. So I have pictures 1, 2, and 3. So if I get back here now, I can have my pic 1 to only be in my index.html. So when I get to my services.html, I'll change this pic 1 here to pic 2 because I already have them in the folder. If you click on this, your images folder, you're going to see those 3 pictures. They are here already. So when I come to services, I get to the picture. I change this picture to pic 2. Then I do Ctrl S to save. Then I get to contact us. Then I change this picture to pic 3. Then I do Ctrl S to save. So when I get back here now, go to contact us, it's going to be having a different picture. Go to services, it's going to be having a different picture. So I'm going to let you guys do what I've done so far. And in subsequent classes, we can continue to develop this. Remember, everything you want is in Christ Jesus. Easiest way to success in a born again.